In all situations, we reiterate that seeking asylum is a fundamental human right, and access to asylum for those in need is paramount. And any person who claims to have a well-founded fear of being persecuted in their country of origin should have access to safe territory and have this claim assessed before being subject to deportation or removal.
Joining me to discuss, Professor James Holyfield. He is Professor of Political Science and Director of the Tower Center at the Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much for being with us. I've been reading comments and polls in the Wall Street Journal today. The majority of people do blame the president for the chaos, for ripping up the orders that his predecessors signed. They do not blame the Republicans who blocked and stood in the way of a bipartisan program of reforms. Is he stuck with that, or can he change the picture before Election Day?
Well, certainly this is a very calculated move on the part of the Biden administration. Not unexpected. He's trying here to call the Republican bluff since Trump and the Republicans in the House blocked the bipartisan agreement, which was a very harsh policy that passed the Senate. So eventually he was going to try to impose as much of this policy as he could through executive action, by decree. But of course, there's a limit to how much he can do here. He can't put more funds to Border Patrol or more funds to immigration judges, asylum hearings. But he's going to do what he can, again, to try to take this issue away from his Republican opponents.
The politics on this has shifted. I remember the row among Democrats when Donald Trump brought in Title 42. And always, if you wanted border reform and you were negotiating with the Democrats, it always came with the quid pro quo of doing something for the dreamers, the children of the migrants who'd come. And you, being in Paris, will know that this is very much the direction of travel here in Europe. The gap on policy between the supposed moderates and the hardliners when it comes to immigration is shrinking, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. And I'm in Paris, France, not Paris, Texas, I might add.
Oh, okay. You'll still know the direction of travel, though.
I'm not here to welcome President Biden, who is arriving, for the D-Day anniversary. But you're absolutely right. The politics of immigration has been shifting radically across the Western world. And we see mainstream politicians on both the right and the left moving more in the direction of hard right policies in the hopes that this will gain them more votes. If you look at the record on this, it's not been very successful. I mean, already in the UK, you can see that Prime Minister Sunak has been trying to position himself further to the right to head off votes on the far right from the Reform Party and Nigel Farage. And essentially, Biden is doing the same thing here. But he wants to try to demonstrate that he's the master of the game and that he's got control of this big humanitarian crisis at the border. And I'm sure they're very much watching the polls to see if this is going to move the needle at more people supporting Biden, coming tougher on the border.
I wonder if you could give me some quick info on two technical issues. One is, he doesn't control the money, that's Congress. So he might put the order in place. How effective will it be in practice? And secondly, he's saying that it doesn't apply to unaccompanied minors. Isn't there a risk that that actually exacerbates the problem?
Well, there's some very fine lines in the policy. Biden is doing the best he can to try to reassure the pro-immigration or liberal left that he's not just going back to the Trump policies. We're not going to have a ban on Muslim immigrants. We're not going to be separating families. People are still going to have a right to apply for asylum. We're just not going to take people. He does not want to. He wants to discourage people from coming to the border between the points of entry. And of course, there's going to be this very funny numbers game. How are they going to count how many people are coming to the border day to day, week to week? So my guess is that in the short term, this is going to create a lot more chaos, a lot more havoc at the southern border of the United States. And don't forget, there's another country, another state involved in this, and that's Mexico. And Mexico just had an election. So we don't know exactly what the agreements were that were reached between the Biden administration and the AMLO government in Mexico. But one thing your viewers should be aware of is the numbers have fallen by half over the past few months. So they're going down, and I think Biden, with this policy, he wants to see the numbers keep going down, and he wants Americans to see that we have control of the border and that we're not in a constant state of crisis here.
Okay. Is Paris, Texas as nice as Paris, France?
They're very different places. I mean, there's an Eiffel Tower in Paris, Texas, which is, I think, over an oil well, a miniature version of the Eiffel Tower. So they are quite different, but both of them have their attractions, I would say. And just finally, one point I want to make before we end is that with the U.S. abdicating its leadership on this issue, this is going to have worldwide consequences. It's going to really undermine the international refugee regime when the strongest, most powerful country backs away from it.
It's a really good point, and we'll maybe pick that up in Europe on Sunday night when we go to the results of the European elections. Really good to talk to you, James Holyfield. Thank you very much.
Thank you.